traffic department.
That is right. We are following breaking news out of Dauphin County. Crews are on the scene of a vehicle fire on Interstate 81. It's actually on the 22-322 overpass going over Interstate 81.
We're told a diesel tanker truck overturned. It caught fire. Our Janelle Knight is live at the scene now with more on this breaking story. Janelle?
Well, I just want to step out of the way right away so you can just see how severe this tractor trailer fire is. As you mentioned, this is a ramp heading towards the 22-322 interchange in Dauphin County. We're told it's a diesel tractor trailer that was carrying diesel fuel that is on fire. I was just speaking with my photographer who's been in the business for over 30 years, and he says he has never seen a tractor trailer fire like this before. In fact, we were maybe a few miles away, maybe about 10 miles away, and we could see the smoke, this black, thick smoke just billowing away. At this point, we do not know of any injuries. We do not know of the status of the driver of this tractor trailer. We haven't been able to, it's sparking up again. You can see it's flaring up. I've never seen a fire this fierce and for this long.
We want to go back to the breaking news out of Susquehanna Township, Dauphin County this morning. Let's take a live look. This is the 22-322 overpass over Interstate 81 in Susquehanna Township, Dauphin County, the scene of a massive diesel tanker fire this morning. It had been burning out of control for more than 30 minutes. It looks like fire officials were finally able to knock that fire down. The smoke just moments ago was thick and black and could be seen for miles. You're seeing some white smoke now, which would indicate that the fire is being put out. That tractor or trailer that was hauling diesel fuel overturned on this ramp, this 22-322 ramp over Interstate 81, and just caused a massive fire. People are being urged to definitely avoid this area.
We don't know about any possible injuries there, as we can see as they pour water on the fire, but it is causing major traffic problems. 81 is closed in both directions, all four lanes. We take the PennDOT camera there. That's at 22-322, the overpass, and it is causing major backups. Here is 81 at 83, the interchange. You can see all this traffic has been sitting still for quite a while. 81 at Front Street also. All of this traffic, you can't even get on 81 there. So major traffic delays if you use Front Street to get on 81, if you use 81 at 322, if you use 83 to 81. It is going to be a miserable morning out there, folks, and we'll be back with more in just a minute.
The fuel tanker that overturned in Dauphin County and erupted in flames, as you just saw, has led to the closure of 3 roadways that are essentially stacked on top of each other. I-81, the ramp to 322 West, and Route 22 East, all in Susquehanna Township.
And they will remain closed for a while. All of that is between Progress Avenue and Front Street, moments before police closed the area down. ABC 27 viewer Ian Safko drove past the fire, took video with his phone, and posted it to our ABC 27 Facebook page. Now listen closely to this next video clip and watch for the fireballs. Just amazing. PennDOT tells us those explosions were portions of concrete exploding in the intense heat of the fire.
Oh my gosh, well, those fire and those explosions incinerated that tanker truck. You can see that here. There is nothing left except for the shell of the truck. You can see at the back of the truck how badly damaged 322 West, that's the ramp to 322 West, is. The tanker was carrying 7,500 gallons of diesel fuel. That's why that fire was so humongous. Amazingly, the driver walked away with minor injuries. He is 52-year-old Thomas Euchre of Dover, York County. We also got up in a helicopter to take a look that way as well. You can see that contrast between the charred highway and the non-charred highway. 64,000 vehicles use this particular stretch of 81 every day. Here you can see a few cars there belong to police and PennDOT. Mark Hall kicks off our team coverage live in Susquehanna Township. Mark.
Well, Alicia, it began early this morning when a big truck flipped and things just continued to get worse across the board. Smoke and flames could be seen for miles as the tanker truck carrying 7,500 gallons of diesel fuel continued to burn on the ramp that connects northbound 81 to westbound Route 22-322. Employees who work at the nearby First Student Bus Company saw it all unfold before help arrived.
I went to the hill and I seen flames on the road, and then I heard a boom, and then more flames. And I stood up on the rail of my car and I could see, and you could feel the heat.
State police say the tanker that came from Tamarick Enterprises of Carlisle turned on its side, and moments later there was an explosion. And soon after that, the big rig was fully engulfed in flames. Investigators say 52-year-old Thomas Euchre of Dover, York County, made it out with minor burns and was taken to a hospital. The fact that he made it out alive was a talker on scene.
I'm not too sure how he got out. Sure, just quick thinking. Truck probably overturned, and it was his instinct to get out of the truck.
While fire crews were fighting flames, people were fighting to get to work because of the traffic backups caused by the crash.
You sit for like 10 minutes and then you only move an inch. And everyone at the highway trying to get off was beeping. It was like all uptight.
ABC 27 sent a helicopter up to get an aerial view of the damage left behind and the work that lies ahead to get the ramp opened. Meanwhile, people are bracing for more traffic delays.
Just to get on Lingostown Road, it looked like there was a line of traffic coming from the east that was about a mile long.
And again, the driver, 52-year-old Thomas Euchre, suffered minor injuries. He'll be okay. Still no official word on the cause of the accident. Working for you live in Dauphin County, Mark Hall, ABC 27 News.
All right, Mark, thank you.
It didn't take long for traffic to back up due to all those closed roads, but it was a long wait once they did back up. Some commuters stuck as far away as Mechanicsburg, waiting an hour, even two, to get to work. Kendra Nichols continues our live team coverage from Cumberland County. Kendra.
We are still seeing slow traffic here on the West Shore. We're in Hampton Township, not far from the 81 split. Behind me is 581. You can see westbound traffic, still a slow go here, and still a lot of people trying to get off at Creekview Road, trying another way home tonight. So we can show you what the backlogs look like from the ground, but we can also show you what they look like from the air today. It was a slow go for the Thursday morning commute. ABC 27 sent up a helicopter to get these shots, and you can see just about every major road. It was bumper to bumper. And the back roads were just as bad. Even school buses got caught. Some were running 40 minutes behind. And many people learned a new way home.
We had to take back roads through Enola. A normal 15-minute trip home took over an hour.
While many of you were sitting in traffic, others were busy planning ahead.
We will probably be in complete West Shore gridlock until at least 8 o'clock tonight.
At the Cumberland County Emergency Operations Center, techs were using mapping systems to get ready for the evening commute.
They're really kind of our map experts and are really good at coming in and helping us determine, which roadways are going to be congested, which alternate roadways can we use. We will put a plan together that will help us, get through it. And folks should still expect congestion.
So this is what officials did to make the evening commute run a little bit smoother. At 4 o'clock, the Turnpike started waiving toll fees between the Harrisburg East and Carlisle interchange, giving people another route to get home. Also, all truck restrictions were lifted on 11:15 between 81 and 322. Working for you in Cumberland County, I'm Kendra Nichols. Back to you.
It is a mess. Kendra, thanks so much.
The governor held a news conference about this afternoon, detailing the severity of the accident. Right now, no one can say when the multiple roadways affected will reopen.
And now the breaking news out of Cumberland County. Police have arrested the man they say was armed and dangerous.
Police say the suspect led them on a pursuit through a Lower Allen Township neighborhood. Dan Kerrigan is live now with the latest. Dan.
Ladies, that all led up to some tense moments here in Lower Allen Township. We're off Hartsdale Drive right now. I'm going to take a step out of the shot here really quickly. A lot of police activity at this point. You guys just mentioned someone was taken into custody. We were here moments ago, and a person matching the description of the suspect police were looking for was in handcuffs. We're still waiting for a confirmation on that, but we were there as that happened and as that person was taken into custody. But before that, what many described and residents told us was a intense, possibly pursuit through the area. We have initial reports that 2 people were injured as a result of that, and there are actually robocalls that went out to residents telling them to lock their doors, even lock their windows. Someone armed is on the loose, and to keep a lookout. Now, again, we're waiting for official more details on this at this point. That's what we know.
Harrisburg auctioned off its artifacts last week. Or did it? ABC 27 has reported several times through the years on a Revolutionary warship owned by the city that did not go to the highest bidder last week. So where is it? Today, we help solve one of history's mysteries. The Royal Savage, Benedict Arnold's flagship in the Revolutionary War, was sunk on Lake Champlain in 1776. Brought up in 1934, bought up in 1995 by Mayor Reed for $42,500.
That has not been told in its entirety.
Mike Ross reported in 2001 that the ship was headed for the Civil War Museum. Then, Plattsburgh, New York, I reported in 2009 that it was still a pile of boards sitting in a city-owned garage.
$250 now, $225.
The Savage was not auctioned off last week with most of Harrisburg's artifacts, and the auctioneer knows nothing of it.
No, doesn't ring a bell.
Mayor Thompson is also unaware of the city-owned ship.
I haven't had the time to go down there looking at artifacts. My time has been better spent at solving the bigger challenges.
Reached by phone, Reed wouldn't go on camera, but did go on the record. I asked about the Savage's whereabouts. He said, quote, "I hope those idiots didn't think they were a bunch of boards and throw them away." So we went exploring, and a city crew took us to the garage, and under hoses and cardboard, there it is, a Revolutionary warship disguised as a wooden junk pile. Reed said he didn't attend the auction, but noted 10,000 bidders in 40 countries, his vindication of his dream. He said, quote, "The auction proved that there's great interest in these artifacts. They would have made a great museum." There are metaphors galore between a sunken ship and Steve Reed's vision for Harrisburg, a once grand vessel, now a dirty heap in a dusty garage. And the folks now working at the city garage didn't even know what that pile of boards was. Thank goodness they didn't throw it away. I told them what it was, and they said, well, we're going to auction that off in the next round of auctioning in the fall. So maybe some more money is coming in.
So $42,000 for the
500, yep.
You can see how Reed is feeling, calling them idiots and all. You can see that's got to be pain he's feeling.
Yeah, no question about it. And I think he's very sad. He never expressed remorse in it's the first on-the-record comments we've had. I had him with a conversation with him last night. Did not express remorse or guilt at buying all those things. Just said it would have been a good museum if we could have made it happen.
Yeah. Some residents of Harrisburg's Shipoke neighborhood really concerned about their safety tonight.
ABC 27 sources say a fire station has been shut down due to broken equipment, and it's not the first time. Our Dave Marcheski has a story you will see only on ABC 27. Dave?
Well, Dan, Alicia, there's no fire in Shipoke right now, but there's definitely a lot of smoke coming out of the ears of residents here. Many are angry that their neighborhood fire department has shut down without any notice. And the source tells me it's like playing roulette with fire. The light is on, but nobody is home. Paxton Fire Company, Harrisburg Station 6, is currently shut down.
We were not notified. I don't believe anybody in the neighborhood was notified. As far as I know, nobody in the city was even notified.
Lisa Brittingham has lived in Shipoke for a couple decades. She's upset her neighborhood fire department was shut down without any notification. A source close to the situation told ABC 27 the station's main fire engine and its two backups are out of service. Since last week, this fire station has been extinguished.
Well, I think it's a very poor decision on the part of the city, and I'm not sure why the decision was made that way.
Angry and confused because city residents are paying higher taxes this year, mainly for vital city services. And as they see it, with this fire station closed, more money with a risky return.
I do hope that the management of the city will figure out somehow to put a proper perspective on how to budget money for critical services.
Now, this source also says Station 8 in South Allison Hill was shut down for similar reasons earlier this month. And they also say Station 8 and 6 were both shut down at the same time for a few days. Station 8 on South 13th Street is also the next closest fire station to Shipoke.
And how long do they think the firemen have to get here? They don't have that long to get here before a house is damaged.
Everything's attached together. If something happened, I'm pretty sure it's affecting more than one household.
Residents say they want answers. More importantly, they say they need safety.
It will be more, sort of like peace of mind to know that, they're close by.
Now today we made several calls to City Hall, the mayor's office, the fire chief, and the fire union, but our calls were not returned today. Now after we broke this story to tonight at 5 o'clock, a city firefighter gave me a call and said that tonight the city was going to bring down a fire engine taken from Station 2 and brought down here to Station 6. And they called the situation a Band-Aid to the problem, says it doesn't really fix anything, just pulls another engine away from another fire station. Of course, we're going to stay on top of this story. Working for you, I'm Dave Marcheski, ABC 27 News. Dennis.
Our top story, Camp Hill Borough in Cumberland County is under investigation.
The state says Camp Hill repeatedly and purposely dumped raw sewage into the Connedaguinnet Creek. It is a story we broke live at 5. Kendra Nichols joins us now with our top story.
This is not good news, and DEP will do a thorough investigation.
DEP says someone tipped them off that Camp Hill Borough was illegally pumping sewage into the Connedaguinnet Creek since 2011, and the source was this pumping station at Seabird Park.
Because their pump stations can't handle the amount of sewage with the influx of groundwater during a wet season. That's the main problem they're experiencing. This problem led to them having to purposely bypass into local rivers there in Camp Hill Borough without informing DEP.
Those who live downstream were not happy to hear the news.
That's very scary, and it's awful because we absolutely love it here. We love the creek. We actually just put in a dock this past summer down there, so we do spend a lot of time. I actually go wading out in the creek with the dogs, so that's very scary.
DEP says they are looking at possibly fining the borough.
We have to see how many times they did it, how much went into the river, and how long it's been happening for. So after we conduct our investigation, it'll give us a better picture of what the borough will be possibly looking at for fines. But either way, this can't continue to happen.
The borough did release a lengthy statement to us, and this is part of it. They say in the past there were incidents during torrential precipitation events when Camp Hill was faced with a stark choice: allow raw sewage to back up into the homes of dozens of residents or bypass the borough's sewage pumping stations to prevent the backup into homes. Camp Hill recognizes that an environmental and health hazard can occur when a pumping station is bypassed. Faced with this dilemma during certain massive precipitation events, Camp Hill bypassed pumping stations to prevent creating a health hazard in people's homes. The borough also told us that they are in the process of upgrading their system, and they feel confident that when that happens, this won't happen again. We'll send it back to you.
By the way, sewer bills are not cheap in Camp Hill. Kendra, it doesn't even sound like they asked for help with this big problem.
Well, according to DEP, they never reached out to them to tell them that they were going to be doing this. And I can give you an example. During Hurricane Sandy, the local municipalities can reach out to DEP and say, during this weather event, we need to pump into the local creeks and rivers. And that's okay because DEP can then inform people that it's happening. And therein lies the problem. They never reached out to them, never told them they were doing this, so they couldn't reach out to the residents or check the wildlife to see how it was affecting them.
Wow. All right. Kendra Nichols live tonight. Thank you, Kendra. And by the way, DEP says this investigation is probably going to take them several weeks.
Well, soon those furnaces will be working overtime. But have you checked your electric or your gas bill lately?
Do you know if you're getting the cheapest rate you can? Well, tonight we're working for you with a reminder to shop for that Best Buy.
Hi, honey. What's she doing?
The Kemp family of Swatara Township is used to this sight. A spinning meter in the summer as the AC cools and a pump cleans the pool. Now that it's fall, he's ready to greet the heat. But it too is going to cost him.
Too high. It's too much money.
The it he is referring to is his electric bill. Take a spin back to the 90s. PA was one of 5 states to deregulate electric and gas. But there was a cap, so we were paying less than market price, thus no takers. Fast forward to 2010, that cap came off. A shock to many when bills shot up. That's when people started to shop. Public Utility Commissioner Chairman Robert Paulson.
Another unique thing about Pennsylvania, over 200 suppliers and marketers and brokers in the marketplace making offers to customers.
A bonus. They're competing for your cash. So did you use your power to make the switch? You'd think everyone would sign up for better rates, right?
Roughly 40% of all residential customers in Pennsylvania have picked a supplier.
The number is even lower for residential customers looking for a natural gas supplier, only 13%. As a result, many get stuck with a usually higher default rate.
Customers, we want them out there shopping. They do it with cable, right?
And the PUC has sites for you to shop. PAPowerswitch.com and PAGasSwitch.com.
Would you like my account number?
Now back to Tony, who we watch as he made the switch.
You're paying 0.00099 kilowatt hour. So you're paying like a little bit more, see?
I'm paying a lot more.
Tony had to choose if he wanted a fixed or variable rate, if he did or did not want a contract, and if there was a cancellation fee. A few minutes on the phone, and a few questions later.
Now, am I locked into a contract with them? No. Okay, so I'm going to switch. Hi, good afternoon, Julie. I'd like to make the switch for my electric providers. I found another company with a much, much cheaper rate.
And maybe you can too.
Now, Tony is just starting to see his savings. He told me about $50 last month. Now, companies on the sites are vetted and monitored by the PUC. It takes a bill cycle or two for that switch to happen, and you can also sign up for email alerts for price changes, default rates, and the latest supplier offers. Now, to see if you can find better rates, just go to abc27.com and look for those links.
We need our first look at the forecast, rain totals. Eric.
This is going to be the biggest rain event so far this year, and more than likely for the year. We're not going to attach a name onto it. This isn't remnants from a tropical system. This isn't a hurricane or something that's breaking down. This is just a coastal storm that dumped it right across the mid-state. Maryland, areas in Jersey didn't see near the amounts of what we had. So we have the highest amounts of this system, and here are the top four. Camp Hill. We've also have Dillsburg Elementary School, Messiah College, and Good Hope Middle School Mechanicsburg. Anywhere from 7 to almost 9 inches of rainfall. That continues there at Red Lion, Kissel Hill, Hanover, and Lancaster. 6 to 7 inches, and it just continues here. We've got Wildwood Park in Harrisburg, Gettysburg Middle School, St. Patrick's School in Carlisle, and Bermudian Springs Middle School, all over 5 inches of rainfall. So obviously you can see why we are dealing with flood warnings, and we have rain. I'm sure the big question now is, when is this going to stop? We have one line, and you can see some heavier bands indicated in yellow through Cumberland County, Southern Perry, also now in northwestern Lancaster and Lebanon counties. That's going to continue here throughout this evening before it tapers to drizzle overnight tonight. So we're going to continue with those flood warnings for small streams, urban areas, and street flooding. We have a lot more to talk about. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. Val, Alicia.
Thank you, Eric. Some incredible rain totals. Well, as you heard, the rain's hitting all areas of the mid-state pretty hard.
In Hershey, it was easier to swim at the country club than swing a golf club. The course is practically a lake.
Oh my goodness, it wasn't the only area in the sweetest place on earth that was underwater. Our Mark Hall begins our live team coverage from Derry Township. Mark.
Well, Val and Alicia, it has not been a sweet day, but we had a break in the rain about 30 minutes ago, but it's coming down pretty good right now. Let's show you one of the problem areas in the region. This is Spring Creek, and it's caused a lot of activity around here, and the constant rain has created some tense moments for people who have been through this before. Runoff water turned Sunset Drive in Derry Township into a fast-moving stream that put neighbors in a tough situation. Volunteers from the Milton Hershey School stopped by to offer a ride out of the area. The man seen here walking his dogs declined the offer, saying the worst was last night and he plans on riding it out unless the township calls for a mandatory evacuation. Some who live on higher ground were a little surprised.
I would get out because they're not only risking their lives, but the lives of the people that have to go in, because what was it, 2 years ago, yes, the boat capsized and the people went in the water.
Take a look at the swollen Spring Creek that runs along Hershey Park in Zoo America. Zoo officials developed an action plan after several animals were lost during the flood 2 years ago. Zoo employees have worked around the clock, moving them to safer locations.
It was a collaborative effort because the safety of our animals was, of course, on our minds throughout the night and into the early morning.
Well, you can see the water is moving pretty good there on Spring Creek, and zoo officials will continue to monitor the water levels here. Working for you live in Derry Township, Dauphin County, Mark Hall, ABC 27 News. We'll send it back to you.
Oh, let it snow. Another weekend of winter weather is upon us. Several inches already blanketing parts of the mid-state. We have team coverage tonight.
Well, I'll tell you, a little bit of snow is not enough to keep everybody inside. A lot of shoppers out and about, and Al Ganoza have a live report from the West Shore.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Megan Healy. It looks like the third time is not the charm. For the third time this week, winter weather is making a mess in the mid-state. We have crews covering all angles of this storm. We have Mark Hall in Dauphin County with a look at conditions. Al Ganoza there in Camp Hill with how people are coping. But first, our coverage begins in our Storm Track Center with meteorologist Ryan Coyle, who has a first look at what's happening out there. Ryan.
Yeah, Megan, you could say we're right in the thick of the storm as we speak here in the evening hours. We knew this whole time that it would really be just light snow during the day and then really getting into it here in the evening. So let's take a look at some of our cameras from around the region in HD at the ABC 27 Bureau in Carlisle. You can see traffic is moving, but the roads are snowpacked. Same story down in Chambersburg, where the plows have been out, and we continue to see them there in the foreground. But it looks beautiful with the Christmas lights up. You could see the Yorktown Hotel looking across the city of York, snow-covered roadways there as well, with low visibilities. Same story at the airport. Looks like they're actively plowing the tarmac there in the foreground as we speak as well. So here's Storm Track Doppler radar. There is a little bit of a gap there right in the middle of your screen, kind of moving through the region, but on the back side of it, we're still dealing with heavy bands of snowfall. You can see one of those bands is up in Upper Dauphin County, moving into parts of Northumberland, Union, Snyder County. We can also take you down toward southern Lancaster, southern York, where this eventually will start to mix with a little bit of sleet and freezing rain over the next couple of hours. But we stretch it back into parts of Franklin and Adams County. There's that secondary band. Within these bands, the potential for 1 to 2 inches of snow per hour, and that is why we have rough driving conditions all across the region. So here's a look at what we can expect the rest of the evening. Probably through about 9-10 p.m. is when we'll see our heaviest snowfall, and we will start to mix in that sleet. After that, it's really just more showers of freezing drizzle, freezing rain, especially to the south and east of Harrisburg. Here it is along I-81, more or less your divider line here, 4 to 8 inches. The farther north and west you go, the closer you'll be to that 8-inch range.
Confusion and tense moments in Gettysburg after police say a car stolen sparked a chase while hundreds of thousands of people are in the borough for the 150th anniversary. Alex Hoff and Dan Kerrigan are live with our top story.
Thank you so much, Val. We have just learned that the Independence Day parade scheduled for tonight in Gettysburg has been canceled due to this ongoing investigation. 2 people are now in the custody of police. That is a juvenile and an adult. And I have to say, up until around 3:30, we thought the only action here in Gettysburg was taking place behind us here on the battlefields. We were wrong about that. We've traveled just a few streets over in that direction, and here's what we found.
We were sitting there and we heard these sirens. A couple minutes later, they kept getting closer. And the car came down this way. When he hit the intersection, he was going so fast he like bottomed out. He's coming towards us. And then he came down, and I actually looked at him and said, you know, that car's not going to make that turn. And they locked him up and just went and hit the house. Get in your house. Yes, sir. Just bailed out the passenger side of the car and kind of ran in opposite directions.
Sir, back up.
It was just crazy.
It's mind over matter for 29-year-old Staff Sergeant Earl Granville. He's trekking for miles throughout the hilly, wooded terrain of Fort Indiantown Gap on one clear mission.
Today's for Specialist Derek Holland. Today's his birthday. He would have been 25 today.
Derek Holland was killed on June 3, 2008, 4 months into his first deployment to Afghanistan with the Pennsylvania National Guard. He was just 20 years old, the baby of Earl's unit.
This isn't just for myself and Derek's memory, but, I mean, Kathy as well.
I miss you, sweetheart, so much. I love you.
Kathy is Derek's mother.
He wanted to go. He wanted to do this.
Every day, she wears her gold star and has never removed his dog tags.
My pride is him just always wanting to reach out and follow his dreams, reach as many goals as he could, and help people along the way. And that's my son.
Kathy says she finds comfort in coming to events like these and supporting the relationship she now has with Earl.
You can feel very alone sometimes in this position. And this reminds you, you are not.
She calls June 3rd, 2008, Earl's Alive Day.
Just showing that resilience that this isn't going to bring us down.
You see, Earl lost his leg in the same explosion that killed Derek, but you won't hear one complaint.
You know, she's the one who lost a son. I just lost a leg.
Well, that course is a grueling 28 miles in honor of the 28th Infantry Division. Soldiers march in full uniform, as you saw, and 35-pound rucksacks. Civilians can also take part. All proceeds go to Wounded Warrior charities.
A day of mourning for Catholics across the mid-state. The man who led the Harrisburg Diocese for nearly 3 years has died. Today we remember Bishop Joseph McFadden. Good morning, everyone. I'm Flora Pastorero.
And I'm Dennis Owens, live in Lower Paxton Township in front of Holy Name of Jesus Church. Here, as I said, in Lower Paxton Township, where in just a half hour the solemn funeral mass for Bishop Joseph McFadden will begin. Why are we here at Holy Name of Jesus Church and not at the cathedral in downtown Harrisburg? Well, the reason for that is logistics. This has been newly remodeled. It seats 1,400 people. The cathedral in Harrisburg, St. Patrick Cathedral, only seats about 1,000 people, so they'll be able to get more people in. And I can tell you, there has been a steady procession of vehicles for the last hour or so filling the parking lot. We are going to have a packed house for this funeral mass for Bishop Joseph McFadden. A number of bishops are here, including Archbishop Charles Chaput of Philadelphia. He will be the celebrant of today's mass, and there are a number of priests from Philadelphia, where Joe McFadden was from and so beloved in Philly. A steady stream of Philly priests are here to pay their respects to Joseph McFadden. Let's take a live look inside Holy Name of Jesus Church. For the next 2.5 hours, the 10th Bishop of Harrisburg will be remembered. When Bishop McFadden came in, he said to me, I have big shoes to fill, because he was replacing Kevin Rhodes, Bishop Rhodes, who went to Indiana, who was a local boy and a very popular here in this diocese. He said, I have big shoes to fill. I just hope I don't mess it up. Well, he didn't mess it up, but is it fair to say that the next guy coming in has some big shoes to fill as well?
Absolutely. Every diocese has its challenges and its blessings, and I think it's up to us to try to hand off this diocese in the best shape we can to the next bishop who comes to shepherd us.
Okay, Father Gillen, good luck to you in your work. Are you expecting to probably be a year before we have a new bishop here in Harrisburg?
I really don't know. I hear there's a number of openings in the dioceses across our country right now, so we're just going to have to wait.
So they're kind of backed up in Rome, maybe.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you so much, and I know it's a somber occasion, but enjoy your day, and thank you so much for being with us. We sure do appreciate it. As for how a new bishop is named, it's quite an interesting process, and we got a little explanation on that. Let's take a look at what's next and how a new bishop will be named here in Harrisburg.
Now to our continuing coverage of the 150th anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg. The very first day of the battle was on this day in 1863. Reenactors came ready today with uniforms and gear as tourists from around the world are outfitted with cameras and walking shoes. Dennis Owens begins our live team coverage in Gettysburg. Dennis.
Hello, Alicia. Fortunately, the weather held here today. There were a few sprinkles in Gettysburg, but the dedications and demonstrations went off as planned. I am in Soldiers National Cemetery, and there's media here, not only from around the nation, but from around the world, and a lot of people are talking about the suffering and the sacrifice that went on here 150 years ago, and I think it's fitting that we hearken to Abraham Lincoln's words in this very cemetery when thinking about all the media chattering about the anniversary and what happened in Gettysburg. Lincoln said, "The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here." They, the soldiers in blue and gray, who lost their lives over 3 days in Gettysburg. In fields of ornate and impressive monuments, it is almost nondescript, often overlooked, beside a Gettysburg intersection. But here is where Marcellus Jones of the Illinois Cavalry fired the battle's first shot.
In pulling that trigger, he fires the opening salvo of what will be the largest battle to take place in the history of the Western Hemisphere.
In Gettysburg, history is not confined to the books. In Gettysburg, history comes to life.
What I am is a lieutenant colonel in rank and denoted by the 2 stars on the collar.
An estimated 15,000 reenactors will tell the story that was originally written by 165,000 soldiers in blue and gray.
It's in my blood. I have very many Confederate ancestors.
Butch Dell lives in Gettysburg now, but was born in Maryland and has been a Confederate for 30 years. On this first day, the gray had its way with the blue, chasing the Union through town. Has he ever added up how much time and money he has spent chasing this passion?
I'm afraid to, but I might maybe have been able to buy 2 houses by now.
I'm obsessed with the Civil War, to the point where it's actually a lifestyle for me now.
Ray Egglestone has spent a small fortune. She's come to reenact from England. She's portraying a male journalist, which also comes at a price.
I even cut my hair. This.
Wow.
It was right down my back on Thursday, and I cut it all off just for this.
Reenactors look real and provide a history lesson, but never quite capture the harsh realities of the carnage, the mayhem, the sheer terror that enveloped this peaceful burg 150 years ago today.
Most of the Gettysburg civilians took shelter in their basements, and there for 2 or 3 days they rode out the storm. They had absolutely no idea what was happening. They could only hear the constant din of battle.
And we've been hearing the din of battle throughout the day as various reenactors fire off those cannons. Now, reenactors, of course, are only part of the equation. You need people to show up and watch the reenactors, and lots of people are indeed coming to Gettysburg. With more on that part of the story, our team coverage continues with our Alex Hoff. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Dennis. We're here on Culp's Hill. This is that spot where you can get one of those really nice audio tours through your car, monument to monument, up this hillside. We have just this beautiful view in front of us. And this is probably one of the last roadways in this area that isn't too clogged up. We've heard it's nearly impossible to get in and out of the downtown right now by car as this anniversary continues forward. 250,000 history buffs are expected to descend upon this small town this week. Because of that, hotels in the area have been booked for the past year, and local businesses are enjoying a monumental boost. The blue and gray grill was packed this morning. They were choosing a side for their burgers is definitely an experience. That means picking one named after either a Confederate or a Union general. Now, visitors traveled from as far away as Denmark and Australia. One family explained why they decided to drive from Alaska to Pennsylvania.
We are American, and this is where we come from and where we originate from. And so we're all one country.
One country indeed. And you know, as much as this traffic might be a pain, especially for the locals who live here, the idea of all of these people coming from all over other countries, all to pay tribute to what happened here and those who gave their lives here, that is something that is absolutely beautiful. Now, Dennis, I'll send it back to you.
And also amazing, Alex, thank you very much for your report. The estimated $100 million in economic activity that is expected over these 10 days. Alicia Richards, by this time on that night, 150 years ago, some 50,000 troops had been engaged in the battle, but by the end of the 3 days, 165,000 in blue and gray would participate in what would become the bloodiest battle in the history of America on American soil. That's the story. Let's send it back to you.
An amazing battle it was, and thanks to both you and Alex for bringing us those reports, Dennis.
Go ahead.
And it is the final night of the regular season. The fans at Hershey are ready for their backyard rivalry. Plenty on the line tonight at Hershey Park Stadium. You'll see it on Friday Night Football. Greg Mace, John Reppitz. It is the last night, Friday night before the playoffs. So a lot on the line here tonight.
Hard to believe the regular season started just 10 short weeks ago. Now it's all over. Time to move on to the second season.
All right, here we go. The top 2 teams in their respective brackets, 2 of the top teams, and they are backyard rivals. Here's Josh Reed at tonight's Hershey Lower Dauphin game.
Week 1, I was at the Lower Dauphin game. They won, and they've been on a roll ever since then. The Falcon Nation is a little upset with me, though, because I haven't made back to a game since then. Allow me to reintroduce myself, Falcon Nation! We're going to let the Hershey band drop the track on these highlights. The Lower Dauphin taking on Hershey. First quarter, no score. LD driving. Troy Spencer takes it in. And just like that, it's 7-zip Falcons.
Good evening, I'm Valerie Pritchett.
And I'm Flora Pastorera. We are covering several big stories on Live at 5.
A tractor trailer and a freight train collide in Cumberland County. It's making for a rough evening rush hour.
A judge decides a county clerk must stop issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples.
Police say a Lancaster man went on a crime spree that ended with him crashing a stolen school bus.
And we are keeping an eye on a line of severe thunderstorms.
A lot of news to get to. Stay with us. Live at 5 is next.
Now, from the station working for you, this is ABC 27 News in high definition.
Happening right now in Cumberland County, a crash involving a freight train and a tractor trailer is causing delay during the rush hour. And as you can see, the train is derailed and the tractor trailer badly damaged. Good evening, I'm Valerie Pritchett.
And I'm Flora Pastorera. We'll get to that story in just a moment. But first, you can see it right now, right there on radar. Round 2 of severe weather is sweeping through the mid-state right now.
This morning, we got slammed with thunder, lightning, and heavy downpours. Eric is in the Storm Track Center with the very latest. Eric.
Flora, Val, about every county in the mid-state was under a severe thunderstorm warning. You can see it's getting trimmed as that line continues to move east. Let's show you that line and zoom in, because now it's mainly in Lebanon, York, and we'll be heading into Lancaster County. Now, Lancaster County did have a few a little bit earlier, but we've got a lot of lightning. This is moving through the York Fair right now. And the good news is it's only going to last about a half an hour, and then it's going to be pushing east. So about a ½ inch of rain expected. Let's remove the lightning so you can see the intense rain that we see in the core of this line here, moving right through Manchester, the city of York, heading towards Red Line and Dallastown as we speak. Let's travel north, and you can see that's moving through Lebanon as well. So Lancaster, Lebanon, and York, that's going to be pushing east and should be out of here by about 6 o'clock. So that's some good news. We got a lot more happening, so we're going to send it back to you, Flora.
All right, thank you, Eric. Now to that developing story in Cumberland County. There is literally a mangled mess on the tracks.
A freight train hit a tractor trailer in Murrow Township. Roads are closed, and it is definitely affecting that evening rush hour. Dan Kerrigan is live on the scene. Dan.
Ladies, good evening. Quite the mess here in Murrow Township. This sign behind me, it's, well, an unwelcome sign for many drivers in this area. We just had some storms roll through this area, and traffic, can't put more emphasis on that. Traffic is a mess around here after this crash that happened around 1:40 this afternoon. Take a look at this dramatic video of this crash. Now, it happened near York and Creek Road. State police say a tractor trailer carrying a concrete beam was trying to cross the tracks and then was struck by a freight train. Officials say the train's engineer was treated for a minor injury on scene. The tractor trailer driver was okay, but the crash derailed several cars. Officials say, and a rep with Norfolk Southern said that some diesel fuel did leak from a locomotive. Was a small amount, and that leak has since been plugged, all adding to what is a massive cleanup effort. Officials say it's underway right now, again causing some traffic issues. The Cumberland Valley School District even alerted parents about possible drop-off delays as a result. Witnesses say this crash was certainly startling. Take a listen.
When it hit that beam, it sounded like a bomb going off, and it disintegrated. I mean, well, you can see the pieces, but it's wrapped around the engine that hit it.
So a cleanup and investigation underway in this area right now. No word yet on the possible cause here. We'll have more for you coming up at 6 o'clock tonight. For now, working for you, Murrow Township, Cumberland County, Dan Kerrigan, ABC 27 News. Ladies.
Thank you, Dan. And now we're going to get to some breaking news. This coming out of New Jersey, where firefighters are battling a massive blaze on the Seaside Park Boardwalk. Just look at this live picture. Incredible, as you can see the flames licking the sky from our sister station, WPVI. The flames flames broke out at Coors Ice Cream Shop and spread to other buildings. Now, several firefighters and neighbors were treated for smoke inhalation. You'll remember Seaside Park is where a roller coaster was pushed into the ocean during Hurricane Sandy. Again, a live look at the fire, the 6-alarm fire going on there.
And more news here. A nasty crash north of Harrisburg is snarling the evening commute. This is also breaking news at this hour. It is a multi-vehicle pileup on Route 322 East, about a mile west of Route 443. Now, 322 East is closed at this hour. State police say 2 tractor trailers and, quote, a bunch of cars have crashed and traffic is backed up for miles on 322 East, which is right there by the Dauphin Narrows. Well, the decision is in from a state judge concerning gay marriage in Pennsylvania. The Montgomery County Register of Wills must stop issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples. It's something that he's been doing for the past 2 months. Dennis is here now with the details. Dennis.
Well, Flora, all sides insist this case was not about the legality of same-sex marriage, but rather whether a rogue official in one county could ignore state law. Montgomery County's Bruce Haynes issued more than 170 marriage licenses to same-sex couples. A Commonwealth Court judge issued a pretty strong rebuke. Dan Pellegrini summed it up in his final paragraph. Unless and until either the General Assembly repeals or suspends the marriage law provisions, or a court of competent jurisdiction orders that the law is not to be obeyed or enforced, the marriage law in its entirety is to be obeyed and enforced by all Commonwealth public officials.
Local officials don't have the ability to substitute their own personal legal opinion for the judgment of the courts or the judgment of the General Assembly when it passes these kinds of laws.
Well, I guess it's not that surprising, right? I mean, the state's going to defend the state law.
Louis Marvin of the LGBT Center of Central PA called the ruling a small setback in the bigger fight for equality, a fight headed for federal court, where the constitutionality of Pennsylvania's same-sex marriage ban is being challenged.
It's part of a movement toward marriage equality, and it didn't, happen today, but it will happen. And we'll look back at Bruce Haynes and say, hopefully we'll say thank you, and thank you for being a visionary and being out ahead of the curve.
State workers enjoying the warm afternoon seem to support the judge and same-sex couples.
I think he should be doing what he's allowed to do within the law because he is an elected official, but in the same respect, I think he should be able to love who you want to love.
If it was illegal for him to issue the marriage licenses and they weren't recognized, I think he should have stopped. I think it might have given false hope to people that were hoping for an actual legitimate marriage license.
Got our marriage license.
As for couples who thought they were married,
I don't know. I think there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of to be determinedness.
and as for that confusion, Nils Fredrickson says, don't blame the state, blame Haynes for issuing licenses that he shouldn't have. Pennsylvania, by the way, is the only northeastern state that does not recognize either same-sex marriage or civil unions. Flora?
Thank you, Dennis. And a 1996 Pennsylvania law defines marriage as a union between one man and one woman.
New at 5, a former Cumberland County funeral director accused of misusing funds was in court today. Prosecutors say he stole money from over 100 people who prepaid their funerals and spent that money on himself. Kendra Nichols was in the courtroom, and she joins us now live with more details. Kendra.
Well, Val, we did learn today in the courtroom that he did not spend that money on himself. His attorney says that he actually put that money back into the business. He'll explain in just a moment coming up. But his attorney did tell the judge today that his client wanted to own up to what happened. And today, Boyd Myers Jr. did plead guilty to all 165 felony counts against him. Now, Myers was surrounded by a group of supporters today. Last year, he was charged with insurance fraud and theft. And today, he admitted to taking more than $500,000 in prepaid funeral funds from more than 100 people. Now, this was money that people were prepaying in advance for their funerals to give their families peace of mind. Well, this happened while Myers was the funeral director at the former Myers Funeral Home in Mechanicsburg, and it happened over a 15-year period.
He wasn't stealing this money and running off with it. He was using it to run a failing business, and that's going to become clear at sentencing. So what he's done is he's accepted responsibility, and now when we go to the court, we're going to explain the circumstances of it, and it's not going to mitigate it entirely, and it's not going to cause him not to go to jail. But I think he wanted everybody to know that he felt bad about it and that he didn't want anybody to think he was shirking responsibility.
The Funeral Directors Association did release this statement in response to his guilty plea. Mr. Meyer's guilty plea is long overdue. His actions are a disgrace to all the hardworking, honest, licensed funeral directors faithfully serving families across our Commonwealth. Crimes like these deserve the maximum prison sentence allowed by law. Mr. Myers should also be ordered to pay restitution to all parties involved. Now, something we want to explain, that this was an open plea, which means there was no sentence agreement. Sometimes when somebody enters a guilty plea, they agree to the sentencing. That did not happen in this case. And as you heard his own attorney say, he does think that he will spend some time in jail. His sentencing is now scheduled for November 26th. Now, the Myers Funeral Home is now under new ownership. Hear from that new owner coming up tonight at 6. Working for you in Cumberland County, I'm Kendra Nichols. Back to you.
Thank you, Kendra. Also new tonight, police have a new lead in a pair of Coach outlet burglaries happening in Hershey and Lancaster. Police in Delaware arrested Timothy Hood of Virginia for allegedly breaking into the Coach outlet in Rehoboth. Now, police say he had 85 of the purses worth $29,000. In the Mid-State, Coach stores at the Tanger outlet in Hershey and Lancaster were burglarized last month. Now, Derry Township Police say there are a lot of similarities in the burglaries. They're working closely with Delaware State Police to see if there's a link.
We're trying to see what they recovered, if there was anything of evidentiary value in the car that may suggest that they were in Hershey, such as toll receipts, that kind of stuff, merchandise that may have been taken from Hershey.
Delaware police say Hood had an accomplice in the car, but he got away. The men may also be involved in burglaries in Maryland.
All right, new information tonight about a wild ride in Lancaster County. A young man from Lancaster is facing charges after police say he stole a school bus. Alex Hoff has more.
This tree has been named the hero in all of this, stopping a school bus from entering into this Upper Leacock Township home. Police say that 19-year-old Ryan Brock was behind the wheel and that this may have not been the only vehicle he stole this morning.
I looked out my window, which is the window right there, and I saw headlights.
It's 3:09 a.m. and a school bus is pummeling towards Jeremy Smith's home.
My mom said there's a bus in the front yard.
So what drove the oversized vehicle to this demise? For that, we must travel back about 16 minutes.
When you run a tow truck, you can be out at all hours of the night. You never know when you'll be out.
2:53 a.m. Police say a driver fled the scene of a nearby hit-and-run accident. Suddenly, police say they heard a bus start up from the Conestoga School District lot. It burst through the gates and back through the scene, almost hitting officers. As police chased that bus up Route 23, Kirby Hanna was heading to the scene of that hit and run to tow the damaged car.
So I just sort of drove in around all the police cars and stuff.
But when he arrived to the shop, he found the door of Steffi's garage busted down.
So then I called the dispatchers back and told them that I'm unable to respond due to someone broke into our shop and stole a vehicle.
Same one he was called in to tow. Police say in its place, 19-year-old Ryan Brock left another stolen vehicle without fuel.
I'm just guessing that maybe he was getting low on fuel and he's going to get another one with more gas and continue on his binge.
Needless to say, that binge didn't last much longer. Police say that once this bus came to a stop, this situation was not over. That Brock had refused to get out of the vehicle. They had to tase him and then found out that he had a large kitchen knife on him. He was the only one to receive minor injuries. Working for you in Lancaster County, Alex Hoff, ABC 27 News.
And this investigation spans several townships, even state lines. Brock has also been charged with stealing a school bus in Delaware last month.
In the sports world, it must be a win for Harrisburg. Tonight, the Senators are on City Island, and Greg Mason's there. I'll have a live report coming up.
And later, paying restitution behind bars. York County wants inmates to do that. Stephen Fisher looks at the pros and cons.
And, you know, it still feels like summer outside, but autumn is just 10 days away. And it's planting season. Our garden guru has a growing guide for fall bulbs.
Welcome back, everyone. We banked on today to be the most active day of September, even into the next 5 to 7 days, and that's exactly what happened here. We still continue to see severe thunderstorm warnings for portions of York, Lebanon, and Lancaster counties. This line continues to track east. Behind that, if you're worried about this evening, there may be a leftover shower in spots, but I mean, the bulk of this is this line that we see moving through the mid-state, and now that's pushing east of the Harrisburg area. Let's just zoom down and show you some areas. It looks like it's going to continue to move east, so the York Fair, not looking too bad for the rest of this evening. This is really a line that's going to affect your backyard for about a half an hour. Then it clears out. A lot of lightning from Stewartstown to Crossroads. Just east of York now, Windsor. Let's just slide north, East Prospect, Columbia. Seeing that, so along the river routes there. And then let's travel a little bit farther to the north here. So from Mount Joy, we take you up towards now Schaeferstown. It's beginning to clear out of Schaeferstown, Lebanon County. So mainly across northern Lancaster. And what we see sliding south here in eastern York County on the doorsteps of the city of Lancaster right now. As a matter of fact, it is pouring is what we see here at Millersville University. 75 degrees, that rain cool there, though. It's going to be dropping down about 70 here soon. So we're seeing that rainfall moving through Millersville now. Let's travel a little farther west. The skies are starting to brighten a little bit at the ABC 27 Bureau in Carlisle. But check this out. Nothing but sunshine here now at Murph Radio in Lewistown. So this is what we're anticipating happening here over the next hour to 2 hours. That's why I said if you're concerned about the rest of this evening, as that line moves through, we will be drying out here and not going to rule out a stray showered spots, but the worst will be pushing east. And rainfall, this is including what we saw this morning. We had a handful of storms this morning. So over 1.5 inches at Wildwood Park, Duncannon at 1.25 inches, Hershey and Harrisburg there over 1 inch. And we're looking at other places, Camp Hill, Dillsburg, Red Lion, and Hanover, anywhere near a 1/2 inch to almost 1 inch of rainfall. And that's good. We needed some rainfall. Right now, we'll take whatever we can get because it's going to be dry now of what we see in the foreseeable future here. You see this arc really separating. This is the actual cold air itself beginning to move in. So yes, prefrontal lines of storms have been moving through, but the actual cold front will be arriving later tonight into tomorrow morning, and it will be cooling us off. So we see 60s to the west, 70 in Harrisburg. Philadelphia, though, still nearing 90 degrees. That front has to push through. So a lot of the active weather ahead of this prefrontal line. There is the cold air that we're talking about that's going to be driving south. That's the big story heading into tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. And as Brett mentioned, he mentioned it very well this morning. It's going from summer. We're really switching seasons in about 12 hours. So here's our precision cast. That's why I'm not going to rule out a chance of a shower or two as we head towards the later evening hours. But as I mentioned, the bulk of this rainfall and storm activity is happening as we speak as it pushes east. Friday morning here, we're looking at some clouds, but then we get this northwesterly flow. You're going to see these clouds bubble up during the day tomorrow because the air in the atmosphere is so much colder than the surface. More than likely, though, we're going to be staying dry. It's just you're going to see a breezy, what looks like a fall day here for tomorrow, and temperatures will be reflected too. Here we are tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. around 60 degrees. Then we're not going to climb out of the 60s. I think most of us are going to be edging near that 70-degree mark, but it's going to be tough to do with that northwesterly breeze. And then heading into Saturday morning here, first cup of coffee on your day off, 40s. That's why I said we're just switching seasons here very quickly. So these storms push east, then becoming breezy and cooler. Northwest winds about 5 to 10. And then we're looking at a breezy, cooler day tomorrow, feeling like fall, 68 degrees. We're dry the rest of the next 5 to 7 days. We got a cooler weekend on tap with lots of sunshine. Perfect for any outdoor plans. Not really seeing much rain in the forecast, and we'll keep an eye on the tropics for you as well. Until then, quite active in the traffic center, and we're going to take it right to Mr. Alganoza.
Thank you, Eric. Real quick shout out to my friends at the Beer Cove in Palmyra for giving me some much needed directions last night. Thank you. What are all the Snickers about? All right, let's go to traffic. Nobody's snickering out there. It's just, this is the accident we talked about earlier, 22-322. I wish I could say this is the only bad camera. Look at 83 at 13th Street in Harrisburg. Yikes. Oh, it's ugly. 83 at 19th Street thins out a little bit, Pakistan. Now look at the mall southbound. That's not good. That is not good. 81 in Dauphin County. That is busy northbound. That's actually loosening up a bit. And at least it's dry and brighter at 22-322. We also have an accident, Route 30 at 283 down in the Lancaster area. I don't think I have a camera that is near there. I'm going to check real quick, and we got to get going. Where is that? Here it is. I might see some of the back up there. Oh, we see something. All right, I'm going to keep my eye on the pulse, finger on the pulse. Eye on the cameras. Be back in 35 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. You know fall is just around the corner when Kathy says it's time to plant your bulbs.
That's right. Actually, now's the best time to get the best selection because they just came in, so they're fresh. The exciting thing this year is sometimes people have a hard time deciding, oh, what color shall I plant? It's an agonizing decision. Now they're coming up with these really cool combinations. They're called beautiful blends. They're picking the colors for you. You want to talk about easy? You know, I can't decide pink or purple. Do both. They blended them for you, so it's 2 colors in one. Remember, this one is a very cool allium. If you're familiar with allium, there's now a red allium. Mix the two together. Wow, spectacular. As always, good old dahlias, big bright yellow, herald spring forever, and hyacinth for fragrance. Remember, when you're planting your bulbs, make yourself life easier. This is really cool. Digs the hole, even measures the depth you dig it to. See, isn't that cool? If you're really lazy, you can use this one. You put your foot on this and push it right through. Don't forget to use some bulb tone to keep your bulbs happy, and away you go. So now's the chance to think about those flowers in spring. Plant them now.
And these are tulips, right? Do I still have
tulips.
time? Fink went so long, I got to wrap it up now. But thank you, Kathy. He tends to run over. All right, we'll be right back after this.
Well, it's all clear. The weather is perfect here on City Island as the Harrisburg Senators need to win tonight in the Eastern League Championship Series to keep their hopes alive. The Tarp is now off the field. They're going to play the Yankees affiliate, the Trenton Thunder, coming up at 7 o'clock. The Senators have lost the first 2 games of the best of 5, which means they need to win the next 3 to keep their hopes alive. I want to show you what happened last night in Trenton. There's been nothing fancy about the wins in this series at all. Last night, after losing Game 1, this was Game 2 in Trenton. The Senators were down 1-0 in the 4th inning. When Jared Head got a base hit, the game was tied at 1 apiece. And then with Trenton up 3-2 in the 6th, Head got another hit. Senators tied it at 3-3, and as we said, nothing fancy here. Trenton got 2 runners on with back-to-back walks, and then Reggie Corona got a base hit, and the Senators lost the game 5-4. So now the problem very clear. You got to win the final 3 games of the series. The good news is all those games are at home, and here's the rest of the schedule. Game 3 is tonight. If they win tonight, there'll be a Game 4 tomorrow. If they win that, there'll be a Game 5 on Saturday night, but it's one at a time, 7 o'clock. For all the starts. Other things coming up. Tomorrow, you can watch the Cumberland Valley McDevitt game live on our website, abc27.com. Tomorrow, we'll have a link on our sports page so you can click on and watch the big Cumberland Valley McDevitt game. That game, of course, part of the 3rd week of high school football. Friday night football continues. Week number 3, 11:30 tomorrow on ABC 27. Then, triple header football, ABC 27 Saturday, UCLA, Nebraska, Tennessee, Oregon, and then Notre Dame at Purdue. We'll be back at 6 o'clock with more on this series. Turned out to be a beautiful night. It looked like the end of the world driving down here, but the rain has stopped. Tarp's off the field. Come on out. It's intense. It's much different than the regular season. It's a lot of fun. We're live on City Island. We'll see you again at 6 o'clock.
All right. Thank you. We'll be right back.
From the station working for you, this is ABC 27 News in high definition.
Welcome back. After weeks of tension, Syria has finally agreed to hand over its chemical weapons.
But Syria's president says the decision had nothing to do with threats of U.S. military action. Karen Travers reports.
Let the negotiations begin. Secretary of State John Kerry's meeting with Russia's foreign minister to try and hammer out a way for Syria to turn over its chemical weapons.
It has to be verifiable. It has to be credible. It has to be timely.
A U.S. military strike is on hold, but Kerry said today the negotiations will take place
even as our military maintains its current posture to keep up the pressure.
Syria has one of the largest stockpiles of chemical weapons in the world, 1,000 metric tons, which could easily wipe out the Mideast.
You could kill everyone in Syria, most people in the region.
The diplomatic dance is one challenge. How to take control of Syria's stockpile is another.
First, you have to get the inspectors safely in the country. That's hard. Then you have to secure all the weapons at a few depots. And third is the destruction of the munitions themselves.
But it certainly won't be overnight. Experts say the weapons could be destroyed in about 2 to 4 years, but it will be difficult to accomplish so long as a civil war is raging. As the U.S. and Russia try to develop a plan, Russian President Vladimir Putin took the unusual step of directly addressing the American people through a New York Times op-ed. Putin wrote, "It is alarming that military intervention in internal conflicts in foreign countries has become commonplace for the United States. Is it in America's long-term interest? I doubt it."
Secretary Kerry said the U.S. still has doubts about trusting Assad, and there must be consequences if he doesn't turn over his weapons. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
President Assad told Russian TV the plan to turn over chemical weapons will only work if the U.S. stops threatening military action. Flash flooding in Colorado killed 3 people in Boulder. It has been raining there for days. 6 inches fell overnight. Homes have collapsed. Roads are underwater. Mud and rock slides have closed major highways.
Boulder County is experiencing a disaster today that is broad in scope and very dangerous in nature. We know that we've lost lives.
Now, the University of Colorado also had to cancel classes since much of the campus is flooded.
And turning to local headlines, police in Lancaster need your help locating a man they say exposed himself to a woman outside of a church. Sunday night, police say the woman was sitting on the steps of Redeemer Lutheran Church along Pearl Street when the man performed a lewd act in front of her and then tried to stick his hand up her skirt. The suspect fled the area after the victim ran away.
Also in Lancaster County, police are looking for 2 people who may be behind a string of home burglaries. Police have charged 28-year-old Brittany Severt and 38-year-old Clifford Bell for a burglary on Dragger Road in Rappo Township last month. There are also suspects in several other burglary cases. If you have seen either of these 2 in the past 3 months, give police a call.
Should inmates have to pay restitution from behind bars? Well, that's what officials in York County are debating. The money taken from a prisoner's personal account will go to victims and taxpayers. Stephen Fisher reports.
Well, depending on who you talk to, this idea has both pros and cons. Now, I did speak with 2 county officials today, and they both tell me it's a matter of common sense. However, they each have opposing views. Currently, restitution for crime victims is paid once the person who committed that crime is out of jail, but that soon could change.
If you're getting monies into your inmate account, that crime victim is going to at least start to be made whole, start to get their justice from that criminal defendant rather than waiting for them to be released from prison.
York County Clerk of Courts Don O'Shell says he wants inmates paying restitution while they're still in prison.
I'm kind of surprised by the pushback I'm getting. To me, this is common sense. It makes sense for the victims, it makes sense for the taxpayer, and I'm surprised by the resistance to it.
Inmates at York County Prison use money in their accounts to buy things like snacks, sweatpants, and haircuts. But some of that money also goes towards preparing them with re-entry programs.
That money's used over $500,000 a year that's used towards GED classes. It's used towards HVAC classes, culinary classes. So we're getting these people equipped that when they hit the streets again, that they'll have some education.
But one York County commissioner is opposed of the idea.
It really doesn't make any sense. It's better to rehabilitate them.
In fact, Chronister believes the new approach will do more harm than good.
I would highly recommend not to do it because I think it's more of a detriment for the people to get the money for restitution.
And the final decision on this inmate restitution debate is expected sometime this fall. Working for you in York County, Stephen Fisher, ABC 27 News.
Other counties are also looking into this. Lancaster is scheduled to do it shortly, and Westmoreland County in the western part of the state just recently started in July. In Dauphin County, Bishop McDevitt High School hosted a state house hearing on a new cyberbullying bill. The bill would amend current law and make the online harassment of a child a punishable offense. McDevitt officials say they've seen a rise in cyberbullying cases, and the bill is needed.
We need some direction and some guidance as far as how to deal with cyberbullying issues, and this certainly gives us some of that.
Critics say while the intent of the bill is noble, they worry it would infringe on a person's freedom of speech.
New tonight, there's Amish country, Civil War country. How about craft beer country? There's a new program designed to attract thirsty tourists to central Pennsylvania. Dave Marcheski is live in Harrisburg with the details. Dave.
All floor, roll out, the Barrel Craft Beer Country is here. Tourism officials say it'll be a keg of fun for tourists and locals alike. But this new program is not just about drinking good local beer. It's really about tapping into a booming moneymaker.
Take a second. ABC ist wunderbar.
Cheers to craft beer country, a new vision with taste. Meet Jason Reimer, president of the program.
I'm the Earl of Beer Country, that's right.
He and tourism officials recruited the area's premier brewmasters. Stretching from Carlisle to Ephrata, a dozen breweries stuck a flag in this hoppy union. With a $50,000 Dauphin County Economic Development Grant, Craft Beer Country will be promoted for more than just drinking area ales.
They're going to have a world-class experience. All 12 breweries believe in education. They believe in the art of making a great beer.
Every year, the mid-state beer industry pumps $2 billion into the local economy, nearly $9 billion in Pennsylvania alone. Harrisburg beer maker Appalachian Brewing Company is eager to go from grains to glass to pockets.
We want those tourism dollars brought into our area. We want to keep them in our area. We want to use them in our area and spend them in our area.
Craft Beer Country offers another option for tourists in town for conventions, shows, and business. Believed to generate millions more just by cracking a cold one.
We're giving people a reason to stay an extra night or come to this region and enjoy our restaurants, our shopping, our spas.
Now, for every one brewery job, there are 45 other jobs because of that in manufacturing, retail, and distribution. Currently, there are 15,000 different paychecks just because of the beer industry.